If there's any recipes that you can think of, I would really, really, really appreciate it. Keep watching Safenice.
Good day. Welcome back to What's in That Jodie Marie. I'm Jodie Marie, and on today's episode, we're going to be making a type of bread us Caribbean people call bake and a callaloo soup. This is so going to be my lunch today. So we're going to be making a roast coconut bake. So when I say roast, it basically means that we're baking it instead of frying it. We'll save frying for season 2 because frying is something that you have to stand up and look over. You also, sometimes when you're making fry bake, you have to pour the oil over the bake. Yeah, it's just a bacchanal. So we'll save frying for season 2. What we're also going to be doing, what I'm doing, is I'm going to be making my own coconut milk to use in the coconut bake. So I'm going to be making that out of shredded coconut and some hot water, because I actually just realized that I only have 3/4 pack of Maggi coconut milk powder, which I'm going to save to use in the callaloo soup. So yes, we're making our own coconut milk today too. So just in case you don't know what callaloo is, let me introduce you. It's a pretty popular spinach and okra dish in the Caribbean. We serve callaloo almost like a thick sauce that we pour over usually white rice and macaroni pie. Callaloo is made from dasheen bush. So dasheen, the ground provision, like potato, sweet potato, that's in the ground, and the leaves are actually what we use for callaloo. They also use something called a taro leaf. I don't know anything about that. I know dasheen bush, right? But you could also use spinach that you can find in any regular schmegular grocery store. So okra, as I'm sure you're aware, has this kind of slimy texture to it, and it actually is a thickening agent in the callaloo. So I know this doesn't sound very appetizing, but it is actually very delicious and pretty healthy too, especially if you're trying to get those dark leafy greens into your diet. Callaloo soup now basically has the same ingredients as callaloo, but it's more liquidy. So we're gonna add more water or stock, like vegetable stock, and use less to no okras. However, the best callaloo soup that I made had about 3 or 4 small okras that were in my fridge so long I needed to use, and that callaloo soup was real good. But today I don't have any okras, so this version is not going to have any okras in it. But I will do another video later on with some okras in it. Not enough for what I'll put in callaloo, but just enough to thicken up the soup. And then we'll do a comparison. But today, no okras. And in full transparency, I have 2 packs of dasheen bush. One is frozen, and that's the one that I'm going to use today because it needs to be used. Right? And more than likely, if you're not in the Caribbean, you're probably not gonna have access to the legit dasheen bush and gonna end up using regular schmegular spinach that you find in a grocery store. So today we're going to use frozen spinach dasheen bush. We're gonna make it work and use what we have. So let's take a look at the ingredients. What I have available today and what can also be put in coconut bake and callaloo soup. Let's go!
So what we have here is the frozen dasheen bush that I'm going to grind up. We also have carrot, but people also use pumpkin in callaloo and callaloo soup, but I don't have pumpkin today. We have some chive, also known as chives or green onion or scallions. We have some shadow benny leaves, which I'm gonna put in the end when I'm grinding up the callaloo soup. This is also called cilantro. We have the one pimento. We have a Scotch bonnet pepper, which people usually put the whole pepper in the pot and then remove it when they're going to grind it up. But I find this wastes the whole pepper, and I like to actually cut off a piece and chop it up and use maybe about a teaspoon of pepper in the pot. We have a red onion, but you can also use a yellow onion. That's actually preferred, but I have a red onion, a small one. We have 2 to 3 garlic pegs. We have about 3 vegetable bouillon cubes, which I'm going to mix with water to make the vegetable stock. We also have the Maggi flavor, the pot crab seasoning, which gives it a kind of authentic Tobagonian kind of flavor, because people also use crab meat inside Callaloo. And then we have also some salt, of course, and some coconut milk, the 3/4 pack of coconut milk powder, which I'm going to mix with hot water to make the coconut milk, because it's just going to make it smoother. You can't put the powder in the pot, but sometimes it creates lumps, so it's just better if it is you mix it beforehand with the hot water. There we go. Okay, so here are the ingredients for the roast coconut bake. We have the all-purpose flour that we're going to use, maybe about 3.5 cups of that. But something to note with flour is that different brands yield differently. So that's something we'll learn over time. Then we have the shredded coconut that I'm going to use to make the coconut milk, but I'm also going to use the coconut flakes in the bake. Usually you will grind it up, but I'm just going to use the shredded coconut, so it's going to be bigger pieces. That's not a problem. I have brown sugar. We're going to use maybe about 2 to 3 tablespoons of that. Then we have the fats, which could be butter, margarine, or even oil, whatever you have. On top of the margarine container, I have a little piece of nutmeg that I'm going to grate a little bit in. And I just think that adds just a special little flavor, but it's totally optional. Then we have some sea salt. That's important. You always have to put salt usually in something. But if you have dietary issues, you can leave the salt out or just use a lot less. Something that's not here in this picture that is very important is the rising agent, which is the baking powder. Ding! You could also use yeast, but that we should save for when it is we're making a loaf of bread, because the rise time, the rest and rise time for that is going to be a lot longer than using baking powder. So let's just stick to the baking powder. We have the baking tin, this cake tin, but usually they use something round or even a flat baking sheet. But I have this tin and I'm going to use that. But you can also use a round dish. And that's it. Create your coconut milk by combining the hot water with the shredded coconut. Then you're going to want to add all of your dry ingredients together. That's your flour, your baking powder, your salt, your sugar, and your nutmeg if you're using it. Then you're going to add your fats and cut it up so that it creates a kind of crumbly texture in the flour. Then you're going to create a well in the middle and add your coconut milk. Knead maybe for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then cover down to rest for about 20 minutes. Place the rested dough in a greased pan and punch it to make it thick. Then you poke it with a fork over and over to decorate it. Make sure and cover it down and let it wait a bit before putting it in the oven to bake for about 30 to 40 minutes. Thanks for watching. Safe nice.